Burak had been on the diplomatic vessel Concordia for exactly 217 days when he fell in love with someone he could never have. The war had ended 3 months ago. Humanity had won barely. The Valkyrie Empire, with its crystalline warships and warriors who could bend light itself, had pushed Earth's colonies to the brink of extinction. But humans had done what they always did. They adapted, they persisted, and they found a way. Now came the harder part. Peace. Burak served as a cultural liaison, one of 50 humans tasked with building bridges between two species that had spent a decade trying to annihilate each other. He wasn't a soldier or a diplomat, just a xenolinguist who had learned to speak Valkyrie fluently enough to understand their poetry. That's how he met Princess Melissa Melissa. As she insisted he call her Dot, she was the third daughter of the Valkyrie Empress, sent to the peace negotiations as a gesture of goodwill. The first time Burak saw her, he forgot how to breathe. She stood 7 feet tall, her skin shimmering like opal under the ship's artificial lights, with eyes that held entire galaxies. For crystalline horns curved gracefully from her temples, marking her royal lineage. But it wasn't her alien beauty that captivated him. It was the way she laughed. They had been assigned to work together on a cultural exchange program, creating a shared database of human and Valkyrie art, music, and literature. At first, the sessions were formal and stiff. Melissa treated him with the cold courtesy her people showed to former enemies. Then Burak made a mistake. He had been explaining human humor, trying to translate a joke, when he mangled the Valkyrie grammar so badly that he accidentally said, "The chicken crossed the road because it was cosmically depressed about entropy." Melissa had stared at him for 5 full seconds. Then she laughed, her sound like wind chimes in a storm, wild and genuine and completely unexpected. From that moment, everything changed. They talked for hours beyond their scheduled meetings. Burak showed her Earth's oceans through VR recordings, and she wept at their beauty. Melissa taught him to read the light poems her people carved into crystal, and he was humbled by their depth. She told him about the gardens of her homeworld, where flowers bloomed in colors humans had no names for. He told her about Istanbul, where he grew up, about the call to prayer echoing over the Bosphorus at sunset. "Your world sounds like a song," she said one evening, her voice soft. "Yours sounds like a dream," he replied. The weeks turned into months. Burak found himself living for their meetings, for the way her eyes brightened when she learned something new about humanity, for the gentle way she corrected his pronunciation. He taught her to drink coffee. She hated it, but kept trying because it made him smile. She taught him the Valkyrie meditation techniques, and he was terrible at it. But she never stopped being patient. He knew he was falling in love. He also knew it was impossible. Valkyrie royalty didn't marry outside their species. It was forbidden by laws older than human civilization. And even if it weren't, what could he offer a princess? He was nobody. Just a translator with a modest apartment back on Earth, and student loans he'd be paying off until he was 60. Still, he couldn't help himself. Every day he fell a little deeper. It was Melissa who finally brought it up. During one of their late-night sessions in the observation deck, Earth hung in the viewport, a blue marble against the void. "Burak," she said, her voice carrying a weight he'd never heard before. "My mother has arranged my marriage. I leave in 2 weeks." His heart stopped. "Oh, it's to Prince Thelma of the Western Reach. It will strengthen the alliance, secure the peace." She wasn't looking at him. "It's my duty." He should have congratulated her, should have been professional. Instead, he heard himself ask, "Do you love him?" "I've never met him." The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Burak wanted to say so many things. He wanted to tell her that she deserved more than duty, that she deserved someone who knew how she took her coffee too much sugar, even though she hated it, and how her voice changed when she recited poetry in her native tongue. Someone who had memorized the patterns of light that danced across her skin when she was happy. But he said nothing. What right did he have? Days passed. Burak threw himself into work, trying to avoid her, but Melissa kept finding him. She seemed almost desperate in their final sessions, as if trying to memorize every moment. On her last night aboard the Concordia, Burak stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. He didn't hear her approach until she was beside him, so close he could see the soft bioluminescence that pulsed beneath her skin. "You've been avoiding me," she said quietly. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." She turned to look at him, and her eyes held such sadness it physically hurt. "Burak, do you believe in human superstitions, wishes on stars?" He managed a weak smile. "Some of us do." "Then make one." For me, he looked out at the infinite darkness, at the billions of stars that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. When he spoke, it was barely a whisper. Words meant only for the void. "I wish I could marry her." He felt Melissa stiffen beside him. Slowly, terribly slowly, she turned to face him fully. Her eyes were wide, her crystalline horns catching and refracting the starlight into prismatic patterns. "What did you say?" Her voice trembled. Burok's face burned. "Nothing. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have repeated. Please." There was something fierce in her voice now, almost demanding. He met her eyes, and in that moment, he decided that if he was going to humiliate himself, he might as well do it with honesty. "I wish I could marry you, Melissa. I know it's impossible. I know I have no right. But you asked me to make a wish, and that's what I accept." The universe seemed to stop. "What?" Melissa's hands, elegant and strong, reached out to cup his face. In Valkyrie culture, a proposal witnessed by the stars is sacred, unbreakable, even by royal decree. Her voice cracked with emotion. "You just asked me to marry you, Burok of Earth, and I accept. But your mother, the prince, can challenge it, but they cannot break it. Not if I invoke the old law." She was crying now, luminescent tears streaming down her face. "I've been waiting, hoping. I couldn't ask you because of who I am, but if you asked me, I didn't know," Burok breathed. "Melissa, I had no idea." "I know," she laughed. "That beautiful wind chime sound, that's what makes it real. You didn't propose to the princess, you proposed to me." He kissed her then, or maybe she kissed him later. Neither could remember who moved first. All Burok knew was that she tasted like stardust and possibility, and that the impossible had just become real. The Concordia's AI recorded the moment, time-stamped and legally binding under both human and Valkyrie law. When Melissa's mother raged and the prince protested, it didn't matter. The stars had witnessed. The proposal was sacred. Humanity had won a war through resilience and innovation, but Burok won something greater through simple, honest love. 6 months later, they married in a ceremony that blended to world's human vows and Valkyrie light songs, coffee and crystal flowers. And when the Empress finally met her new son, she looked at the way her daughter glowed with happiness and said, "Perhaps humans aren't so primitive after all." Burok just smiled and held his wife's hand, grateful for impossible wishes that came true.